It might have taken its time, but I think you have to say, in the end, it was worth it. The Amazon Prime Super Cup of Chunky Donuts might have been decidedly for the purists, but boy did they save the best till last, with possibly the 4 finest games of the whole tournament all falling on the final weekend. And a hidden gem in amongst the obvious carnage of the prize fight at Twickenham and a delightful hybrid of dog and flair shown by Italy, Georgia, Fiji and Talupe Faletau was the both barrels shootout in Dublin. Scotland have been just hovering outside world-class kind of, take on the world type territory like a sinister drone owned by a world-renowned online bookshop for some time now, and despite looking pretty fantastic for large patches in that first half, were ultimately shot down just like one of those drones can't be. So, how did Ireland see it out, score those tries, and just what kind of display did Scotland give us in defeat? Right up until lanky walnut Keith Earls scored his second try to make him Ireland's second top try scorer of all time, I remained fairly convinced on the balance of what I was seeing Scotland were gonna win. This felt a bit to me, especially that first half, like the game where Gregor Townsend and Scotland's side finally properly came of age until they didn't. However, I still think there's more than enough to make Scotland and indeed rugby fans very, very excited about what this team is on the cusp of possibly achieving in the next couple of years. Townsend has said his aim is to get Scotland playing the fastest brand of organised rugby on the planet, and whilst we've heard similar things from Jones's Eddie and Stephen, and plenty of intentions to challenge that from both Fiji and Japan, this Saturday gave us one of the cleanest indications of not only how Townsend aims and intends to achieve this, but that he might actually be able to do so. Everything begins with Scotland getting the first phase right. If they're going to play their bold brand, they need to begin on the front foot. A positive carry obviously gets you closer to the opposition try line, that's the eventual aim, but beyond that, crucially, it forces the defence to take a backward step and makes it more difficult for them to compete for the ball to try and slow you down, allowing you to play faster still. This has been Wales's big Achilles heel this autumn. They're unable to play at pace because they're too often not getting that first carry right. Whereas the likes of England have smashy smash mouth boys aplenty, Scotland, similar to Wales, don't really have the automatic firepower of a Vunipola, never mind two, but whereas Wales's first phase plays tend to feel quite simple and perfunctory, there's an obligation, kind of to just get, they've got to get things going, you've got to start somewhere, I guess. Scotland play theirs with tricks, pace and commitment equal to everything, the more exciting bits that come later. This is the Tartan Gang's first real attacking line out of the game. They play it so quickly the cameras aren't even on, and from there, Price whips it away to Fagerson, who looks set to make the big carry. Caught slightly by the pace and presence of a big lad with the ball, Ireland aren't watching Harris before Fagerson pops it to him and he smashes his way over the gain line for that first carry. However, off the second line out in this kind of position, they switch it up. Once again, it's a quick line out and someone sprints onto a flat ball by Price. But this time, Taylor dummies to Fagerson and explodes over the gain line himself now that they're watching the man outside him. With Ireland backpedaling, Scotland then only need an incredibly minimal clear out and can play quickly. Or, after some slow ball here, the other Fagerson gets on the outside of James Ryan, meaning the collision isn't front on and the prop can stay on his feet until his brother comes in behind to help shove him far enough forward to regenerate that momentum. But what's really exciting, the kind of opportunities for #rugby these kind of crash ball antics can create. What you're about to see is possibly, maybe, the best attack of the Amazon Prime same-day delivery cup that didn't result in anyone crossing the try line. So, Ireland kick long and Hogg covers. Now, there's been a lot of talk over the breakdown laws lately, and last week England's George Ford referred to keeping the ball as being like holding a ticking time bomb, or any other items Amazon delivery drivers have to handle on a daily basis for a salary of £3.26 an hour. But there are essentially two ways to deal with it. One is to kick, and we've seen quite a lot of that, I don't know if you've noticed, but Hogg and Scotland take the other. He forces the offload to keep the pace as fast, as quick as possible. As Fraser Brown throws the dummy and then carries in, Scotland can begin. Most of the team is still organising here, but Price doesn't hang around. He doesn't give Ireland a chance to set and figure them out. So Richie carries whilst everyone else is finding their position, and Johnny Gray clears out Doris before he's even had a chance to contest. Van der Waal then invites Fagerson onto the ball, and Scotland are unafraid to bring Hogg, their most dangerous attacking threat, in to clear out. The pace is more important to them than the personnel. Townsend considers a dim player with time and space better than the brightest spark with neither, so using Hogg rather than a different, further away body buys Scotland a second or two. That's vital. As such, Van der Vault is given a pretty clear 3-on-3 situation in front of him, and Henshaw begins to shoot up, expecting quite an aggressive press, but the man inside him isn't another midfielder, isn't a backer or even a back rower who can do this, it's front row Healy. And so Van der Vault attacks him and makes a lot of yardage. The rucks remain so fast, Price can get Cummings absolutely belting onto the ball whilst everyone else finishes setting. With the 10 on the floor, Hogg takes responsibility and begins barking orders, then floats it to Townsend. Now, this is Scotland's 7th phase of this passage, and this ruck is the first one that takes more than 3 seconds from Carey hitting the ground to Price firing it away. However, Scotland use this to their advantage. With the extra second and a half, Hogg once again calls the play, and they swing all the backs bar Van der Vault round to the blind side. Ritchie, also there, picks a good line and makes a bump on Doris to stop him drifting, and that allows Harris and Taylor to fix their men and unleash Van der Merwe down the wing. And unleash is the correct word. That is the only accurate term to describe giving Van der Merwe some space. Once again, Scotland don't wait for their own players to be in position. Price just plays to a man nearby, and then, again, Van der Vault is given time to select a carrier. However, Henderson does incredibly well. The way Scotland are playing, it's incredibly difficult to slow anything down at the breakdown, so he comes in and holds Ferguson up in the tackle instead. But faced with slow ball once again, Scotland opt to use the backs. It's a kind of inversion of normal rugby logic. Normally you'd want to play wide off quick ball, not slow, but slower ball means Scotland have time to identify gaps and set shape, whereas fast ball usually means the forward making the tackle for Ireland has just been jogging back. Maybe they're out of position, maybe they're tired, maybe they're still adjusting to whatever's in front of them. So Scotland work it wide, but Henshaw makes a great tackle on Taylor. Scotland, however, keep it quick until Henderson, the only man with a plan to try and stop this, attempts to do the same again, except Cummings has got knee to the ground making a tackle, and hence Henderson's intervention is suddenly illegal, and the penalty is given and the 3 points are taken. 3 points given, 3 points from a penalty kick at goal. But I can't stop thinking that the sheer pace and accuracy Scotland were playing with, Ireland were lucky to get away only conceding 3 there. However, they weren't the only side who played with accuracy in this game. With Scotland on top and ahead, Ireland know here, especially man up, they need to make the most of this chance right before half-time, so they pull a very smart and specific set play. But they got very unlucky through a quirk of their opposition. It's a flat ball into Henshaw on seemingly a smash-up job, but he drops it back into Jim Jam Sexkettle, who immediately flicks it onto Stockdale, and wee Darcy Graham has to bite in and take him, with half-eaten human Fruit Loop, Keith Earls on the outside. This goes exactly according to plan. Ireland drew in every one they intended to. This went as well as it could. So why is there still a guy out here marking Earls? If Ireland had pulled this move against the Springboks or the All Blacks and executed it this well, they would have scored. Because Faf de Klerk and Aaron Smith are confrontational nines who defensively like to be amongst it and will pressure the initial passer from the base or the receiver, the 10. But this is not how Ali Price rolls. Instead, watch him, he floats across behind the defensive line and manages to turn himself into an emergency winger just when Scotland need one the most, and it saves an almost certain try. However, it's ultimately as fruitless as trying to catch an Amazon drone that's just outside your window with your bare hands, as a few minutes later, Jot in the copybook, Sex Flakes kicks back against the grain and his own body language, leading to a bit of a mess that eventually sees Hobnob with nostrils Keith Earls score. Scotland's defence has been outstanding all year, and whilst Ireland got the spot of their very marketable luck for their first try, they embraced their inbuilt need for shithousery to break it the second time. Ireland here are inches out, and Herring sets as though he's going to be the next carrier. Instead, Healy goes himself, but Herring and Roux continue to act as though they're the dudes and force Ferguson to tackle them instead, before Roux gives up on the whole charade and just tackles Ferguson himself. And it leaves nobody to stop Healy crashing over. Their third try, however, comes largely from them just undressing the Scotland defence in both a more and less elegant version of what Scotland were doing to them in the first half. This phase is a mess, but the ball remains quick, and then Ireland keep playing with pace until eventually one wide pass creates the overlap, which allows the inexplicably now Fijian Peter Omani to put the kid from Bully on the PS2 in the corner. And from there, Ireland proceed to just close things out. They've been good enough to win every game they played this autumn, but the game management and decision-making of captains James Ryan and Jack Attack Sex Greeting has seen them stutter away from wins. This was not the case on Saturday, as Scotland were forced to play more and more when it wasn't on, as Ireland shut the game down, kicked their points, and closed things out. Frankly, especially considering how well Scotland played in the first half, this was the most composed performance of the Andy Farrell era so far, and a clear sign that things are starting to slot together. Scotland, meanwhile, are no doubt sick of taking positives from losses. I'm so sorry. But if ever there was a case where they really should, it's probably this one. On Saturday, we saw the blueprint work for how Scotland can be proper title contenders in a month or so's time when the Six Nations begins again. And it will just take a few moments of resisting opposition's bastardry or keeping their excellent defence firm to turn these games into actual wins. If I were Scottish, and I soon might just start to claim I am, I'd be very, very excited about what's about to come. It's taken its time, but I'd have to say, in the end, it could well be very, very worth it. Thank you for watching that, gang. No, not calling you gang. I hope you enjoyed it. There is more on the United Nations Cup throughout the channel, over the channel. There will be a video on the England-France finale coming in the next few days, I'd imagine. That's the aim anyway. There's also a podcast going on the 2011 World Cup. There's going to be an episode on Samoa against South Africa, which is a belter of a game in the next few days. Otherwise, I hope you're keeping well. There's plenty more going on, and I'll see you very soon for more rugby.
Peter O'Mahony, does he have the gas? Yes, he does! Touch Judge's flag is up. Touch Judge's flag is up.
Penalty advantage.